So, folks, you know, it's the year 2025. You know, the satanic panic is well behind us. The world is free from witches ever since the trials at Salem hundreds of years ago. And, you know, life has returned to normal. You know, the supernatural has been kept at bay by the use of the K-pop demon hunters Han Moon that has coated the world for centuries now. We are held safe from the clutches of witchcraft and devilry by supernatural forces far beyond our ken, right? And yet, for the first time in centuries, one of our ranks has fallen victim to the forces of the evil one. And Megyn Kelly, she has proof. She knows exactly what has brought back the forces of the devil to this world. Let's take a look.
Sort of out of left field story to bring to you. And then I want to start with it. I've been wrestling with whether to bring you this story for a few days now. I've been wrestling because I find it so vile and off and odd. I wasn't even sure where to go with it. But I decided that I had to do it because the groups who did this deserve public censure. I learned when I was out in Arizona last week that 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the far-left website Jezebel declared that it had a mission to cast bad luck or a curse on Charlie. They wanted to hurt him in some way. They declared, quote, if the far-right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares.
The online witches, they got Charlie. They got him, folks. It wasn't an assassin's bullet that did him in. It was the witches. It was the hag creatures. And I've played D&D before, so I know those hags ain't nothing to fuck with. All right, they'll take like a jar full of teeth and smash it on the ground and summon a quasi dragon. You know, they'll take out like a fucking roll of toilet paper made out of the skin of your favorite childhood pets and use it to warp your perception and fall in love with an eel that slowly sucks your soul. So hags, they're a big deal. They are, you know, we're talking some level 5 magic at least. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, but I mean, depending on the strength of the witchcraft, it could be right up to a level 13 spell. You know, the kind of spell that ended the Netherese. All right, we're talking some real like blink you out of existence and destroy the entire tapestry of the weave shit.
And they went onto the website Etsy, yes, Etsy, to quote cast a curse on him. Yeah.
Oh man, I hate it when my enemies go on Etsy. Then I know they're bringing out the big guns. They're either about to get some dope ass handcrafted stuffed animals or the most gnarly curse you've ever seen.
Yes, this is actually a thing. Etsy, the website known for making arts and crafts on demand, will happily cast a hex through its witches, who you can hire, on someone if you ask them to. The Jezebel crew was delighted to discover, quote, it's not uncommon for the so-called witches on Etsy to channel their energy toward thwarting Republicans. There's even a subreddit.
I'm sorry, but like, if you don't believe that magic is real in any tangible, material way, this is fucking hilarious.
The funniest thing is that one of the witches responded to this saying basically all the spell was supposed to do was return back to him what he put out into the world. Infernal blessings.
God, like, I also Nomi Sunrider, thank you for the $10 super chat. It's just, it's so silly, right? Like, I don't believe in magic, You know, someone on one of my YouTube comments today told me not to take the Lord's name in vain because they wanted to listen to my words, but I made them sin because I said God. And like, I'm not convinced that a soul is real, but insofar as one might be real, my job is not to save your soul. That's your pastor's job. That's your minister's job. That's your own job, not mine. My job is to organize against authoritarianism. That is my lane. There's some choice things in the Bible about this.
It's not unusual to be hexed by anyone.
It's not unusual to be hexed by anyone. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Very much appreciated. Moth, thank you for the $2 super chat. This is Billy Witch Doctor. You know, I bet people who are really freaked out by magic, though, wasn't there like a song? I think I just unlocked like a core memory in my brain. Do any of you remember the movie Homeward Bound? Do any of you? It was like a talking or telepathic talking dog and cat movie. And do any of you remember that? Do any of you remember there's a part in that movie where the family is driving down like a curvy highway and they're all singing the song about going to see a witch doctor?
You could also seek a podiatrist. They'll save your soul.
God damn it, Jazz Dog, you're on a roll tonight. Okay, so, like, all I'm saying is the song about going to see a witch doctor, like, terrifying to people like Megyn Kelly? I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. Like, is that a terrifying song? Like, did that like, were you like, this Homeward Bound with talking animals? The work of Satan, clearly. For how could animals talk? Clearly, this is the work of the devil. Yeah, the fucking Alvin and the Chipmunks witch doctor song. Yeah.
Devoted to casting nightly hexes on Trump. Jezebel decided Charlie Kirk, who they've repeatedly described as far right.
Thankfully, as we all know, Donald Trump has an impenetrable magic shield that is sustained by the sacrifice of several thousand magically attuned individuals taken from various parts of the country, disappeared into the bowels of Mount St. Helens. This is clearly what is happening, and Charlie just didn't have the infrastructure to have one of those impenetrable magic shields. You know, it's a sad story.
The founder of the right-wing conspiracy theory factory, Turning Point USA, is, quote, more irritating than most, and asked its audience if they were, quote, interested in punishing Kirk for years of regressive rhetoric with a curse, with a hex on him.
How do you say all of this with a straight face? Like, Megyn Kelly, what did you do to yourself to, like, just be able to say this unironically? As if, like, this had a meaningful, tangible impact on you or anyone else.
After all, they told readers, he's basically a fake news vending machine. The article notably does not list the name of any particular author, but simply uses its company name as the byline. So we don't know exactly which writer or staffer at Jezebel, which has long been a
Grew up with a Fundy family like that, can confirm many of them are actually scared of witches, warlocks, wizards and magic and references to them.
God, that's really sad. That's really sad. Like, it seems to me, right, like, so, like, when they're watching a rom-com and they're like, and like, someone in the rom-com's like, loving you is just magical. Like, do they, like, cringe away from that? Or are they like, that is dialogue written by and for and of the devil? Like, what is it, just any reference to magic? Like, I remember growing up and, like, some ministers would say, like, Pokemon is satanic because they're using magic powers. Some of them do, yeah. What a sad way to live. What a sad way to constrain yourself for literally no reason.
disgusting publication came up with the idea. But since they're attributing it to all of them, so will we in terms of...
They witched him, they did. What's next? An ugly old crone coming out of a shadowy alley holding a perfectly suspiciously looking good apple? Why, we don't have defenses against that here in the United States of America. Pretty soon, houses with chicken legs will be running down Main Street. You know, before you know it, New York City is gonna go to the dogs that all live around the suspicious candy mansion that has been erected in the middle of Central Park. It's just so stupid. I almost got expelled in kindergarten from a Christian school for having a Pokemon temporary tattoo. Oh my god, what? That is really sad. Sad, and yes, people do actually believe in witches. I know from experience, my mom literally thinks our neighbors are witches, so... And, like, I know people who, like, consider themselves witches, but it's just, like... I'm sorry, I'm not sold on this supernatural shit. I'm not. You're gonna have to do a lot more work. And the fact that Megyn Kelly knows her base is, like, totally fine with just coming out and being like, yeah, witches killed Charlie Kirk, everybody.
The worst thing
like, that's
is that
insane,
since the
right?
Jezebel article is gone, she can lie about the article. They cursed him to be slightly miserable, not get hurt.
I just... Like, I can't imagine having an audience where I could just, without blinking, go live and start talking to you about how witches were wreaking havoc on the faces of the earth. I can't imagine that, guys. That's wild. When I was a kid, someone called my parents to speak with my parents to find out if we were real Satan worshippers because I drew a satanic star symbol on some art in the 4th grade. Jesus Christ. I guess movies like The Wizard of Oz must just be, like, next level terrifying for these people. Like, they shit themselves when they hear, like, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too." Like, what? Was that, like, just the height of horror for you people? Like, I don't understand. God.
Of our blame. It was, in fact, the brainchild of one writer, however, because it is written in the first person, a female. The writer explains now. Is it ethical to curse a man I've never met? Probably not. But is it unethical to let him keep talking? Yes. Now comes the obligatory ass.
I'm sorry. Like, are we supposed to walk away from a video like this and think, you know, the assassin who killed Charlie isn't to blame anymore? It's the witches. Like, what? Like, I'm just, what is the angle here? What is the end goal of this particular nonsense?
Covering paragraph in the piece, just to stave off any negative publicity for Jezebel. Quote, I want to make it clear I'm not calling on dark forces to cause him harm. I just want him to wake up every morning with an inexplicable zit. I want his podcast microphone to malfunction every time.
I'm sorry, this is like saying, this is like someone, like, on social media saying, like, I hope that meanie stubs his toe. Like, she's even quoting that, like, the hex was for minor inconveniences?
Time he hits record. I want his blue blazers to suddenly all be one size too small. I want one of his socks to always be sliding down his foot.
I want his head to slightly become enlarged every time he's on camera.
I want his thumb to grow too big to tweet. To ruin his day with the collective feminist power of the Etsy coven would be my life's greatest joy. So even in her ass covering, she was asking for Charlie to be rendered less attractive, to not be able to use his microphone and silence his voice, to have discomfort foisted upon him, to stop his ability to tweet or spread his message, and to, quote, ruin his day. Got it? That's the nice part of the Jezebel article. She tells the reader she placed her first spell on Etsy, and it was, quote, in all caps, make everyone hate him. And she wondered aloud,
oh my god, when they paid $5 for this hex on Etsy, little did they know that $5 was going to one of the most powerful witches to ever exist. Scarlet Witch, obviously. Wanda from the Marvel films, a real witch. Real. 100%. Very powerful. I saw the movie with zombie Doctor Strange in it.
How long would it take to kick in? The witch servicing Jezebel.
Why are you saying it with air quotes? When you were the witch? Are you just complaining about people thinking mean thoughts about Charlie Kirk? Like, what? Okay, I mean, I guess I guess we can go that low, but like that double standard is gonna weigh you down.
Etsy contacted the writer and asked if she would like to, quote, amplify the energetic support of the spell for an extra $50. She did it. She goes on, for the powerful hex spell, I had to provide Kirk's date of birth for accuracy. The witch informed her that she, the witch, had performed the hex and that it was successful.
Oh my God.
Jezebel wanted to know when they were getting results on their curse. And while their article about all of this it was published on Monday, September 8th, it makes clear that the writer contracted for the curse in late August. She says she wanted it to line up with the new moon in Virgo, which this year meant August 23rd. That tracks because she points out in the piece that by August 24th, she was waiting impatiently for results. The witch...
Yeah, I'm sure someone who writes for Jezebel just unironically believes in hexes and curses and wasn't... all right. Okay, sure.
They reveal, promised on August 23rd, that, quote, you will see the first results within 2 to 3 weeks. This was 18 days.
I know how powerful witches are firsthand, chat. Okay? I've seen The Witch. They're very scary. I have seen Hansel and Gretel, or it might have been renamed Gretel and Hansel. Very scary witch. But like those witches could also do things like fly and like, I don't know, kill you. Like they demonstrated that ability. And I've never seen a witch fly or kill anybody, frankly. I'm gonna need a little bit more evidence of this, Megyn Kelly.
Days before Charlie was killed. Not satisfied with this curse, the amped up...
What about the Wicked movies? Well, obviously, the witch in that movie absolutely killed it. So, you know, like, I've seen that, but I need some evidence outside of motion pictures.
One alone, Jezebel reached out to a, quote, third witch, Priestess Lilyn. Jezebel opined, if enough people cursed a single person, would the results be stronger? Quote, when I asked her if she'd noticed more political figures being targeted these days, she said yes. The next day, Lilyn sent the Jezebel writer proof of the hex she had cast. Quote,
oh my God.
A photograph in flames, the edges slowly curling inward, engulfing Charlie's ridiculous, scrunched up little face. She whispered, I imagine, writes the Jezebel reporter, trust the unseen. Chills, writes Jezebel.
Okay, so we've recapped the entire sequence of events here. Tell us what you think any of this means, Megyn Kelly. I'm curious because this video has been viewed 1.1 million times. And like, what conclusion are you aiming for here? Is it witchcraft killed Charlie Kirk? Like what are you getting at?
Sunday, August 24th passed, writes the author, and nothing. Monday, August 25th, still nothing. Tuesday, August 26th, nothing. But then she writes, she reminded herself, this is witchcraft, not Amazon. The forces operate on their own schedule. The Jezebel writer ends the piece as follows. So, did my Etsy curses work? Time will tell. The forces move in mysterious ways. And as the priestess Lilyn reminded me, spell work is a collaboration between the caster, the client.
Oh, fuck Shakespeare. Yeah, finally an actual, you know, much like the JFK assassination, there, you know, magic bullet theory. It must have been witches, chat. We solved it. We solved the JFK assassination. It was witches. The third gunman, that was just the third witch. All of them were witches. It was a coven. A JFK assassination coven. It all makes sense. All the pieces are fitting together.
And the universe itself. For now, we can only trust in the timing of the great unknown. To you, Mr. Kirk, may the rash come swiftly. 2.5 weeks after those curses were requested and cast, 2 days after Jezebel published that article, Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. I know.
So not a witch. So not killed by a hex. Wait a minute. What do we know about this? What about this assassin? Was he a witch? Is that the next big twist coming? Just a coven of witches took out JFK. Another coven of witches taking out Charlie Kirk. Is that what happened? OMG, they're blaming witchcraft for real? Yeah, no, for real.
What you're thinking. This is a bullshit Etsy curse. Why are we spending time on this? I'm going to get...
That is exactly what we're thinking, actually. Yes, we've made it halfway into the video. We are all thinking this is a bullshit Etsy curse. Link it in for us, Megyn Kelly. Bring that satanic panic energy. Let's go.
Get to that in a minute. Stay with me for now. After the shooting, Jezebel took down the article, quote, on the recommendation of our lawyers. They underscored that the piece was meant to be
Do Christians even believe in witchcraft? Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Old Testament has some choice words for witchcraft.
Humorous, intended as satire, and that they made clear they wished Charlie, quote, no physical harm, which is not the full story now, is it? At the same time, they said of the article, quote...
I mean, you did quote the article saying that they wanted him to get, like, a zit or have enlarged thumbs. Like, you know, I don't think anything in the article that you quoted would indicate an assassin's bullet.
We stand by every word, which means they did want him cursed. They wanted everyone to hate him. They wanted it to be powerful, and they wanted Charlie, quote, punished for years of regressive rhetoric. They also made clear that taking down the article was, quote, driven by an abundance of caution for our staff. In other words, they were worried about violence against them by Charlie Kirk supporters.
I mean, that's, you know, this has aged particularly terribly, considering the fact that, like, over the course of like, the last 48 hours, there have been multiple terror attacks done by far-right extremists. You know, like, that included, like, a man with a bunch of American flags in his, like, truck, ramming into a Mormon church, shooting it up and attempting to burn it down, as well as another man in a boat, opening fire on, like, a restaurant on the water. So, like, you know, this has aged particularly poorly, considering, you know, who tends to do terrorism attacks. Just throwing that out there.
They wrote, wished, quote, to avoid the piece being misused in a tense and volatile environment.
And I saw that and I said, I should go misuse it. I, Megyn Kelly, should go misuse that article in a way that they clearly didn't intend, validating their fears.
There was not, they made clear, any change in their editorial and judgment. In fact, they emphasized, quote, we may republish at a later date. They then rambled on about the country's gun problem and the heated political divide in the country and free speech, noting they do not actually condone political violence.
You know, just real quick, I want to throw up just like a little infographic video for y'all to take a look at. Let's take a look. Mass shootings by country, starting in 1950. With that, okay, USA is in number 5. Oh, 4. 3 by 1962. Oh, second by 1968. In first place by 1972. All right, and it's continuing to go up, continuing to have more mass shootings, etc., etc. 90s are coming along. 2006, 2008, and then 2012. Huh. Wow, something happened in 2012? That's... Whoa. Huh. What happened in 2012 that may have done that? What happened in 2012 that may have led to a massive uptick in, I don't know, mass shootings? Maybe something got unbanned. That's a really good question, Beefy McSteak. It's a really good question. It's almost like that was the year the assault weapons ban expired. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no. But no, it's not the guns, because of course, how could it be the guns? Megyn Kelly has made it abundantly clear to all of us that, well, of course, it's not the guns, it's the witches. You know, you guys with all of your book learning and your science and your rationality and your logic, you're all missing a completely unstudyable phenomenon. And that's the witchcraft, the supernatural. It's the supernatural. So, also, yes, some of you are accurately pointing out that the assault weapons ban expired in 2004. That's true. Only lasted a decade. But I'm also going to throw out there that the 2008 housing collapse happened, and Obama happened the second time. And a lot of people, when you take into account those three factors, got their hands on a lot of weaponry, and they started finding uses for it. So, I'm throwing it out there. There's a number of different reasons here. But in my mind, you have the loosening of restrictions around weapons that can do mass shootings a lot more easily. And then you have a financial collapse. And then you have Barack Obama, like the incarnation of every white supremacist conservative's fears. And, you know, the proliferation of just insane conspiracy bullshit online. You know, in 2012, you have kind of the rise of red pill content for the first time. You have online conspiracy theories in their infancy really taking off. And yeah, it's not great. Do leftists really want an assault weapons ban? I just want a policy that would stop the mass shootings. I think that is what most leftists want. Yeah, but Gamergate didn't come out of a vacuum, Salmon Moose, right? You had like the atheism skeptic community kind of imploding and like turning on feminism
Sliva
prior
seems
to 2014.
genuinely
It's
stupid
the
and
whole thing.
insane, rather than grifting it or acquiring it by happenstance.
Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Me and the Coven were in the Deep South. We had a Supreme Leader and a Stevie Nicks addiction. God. All I'm saying is, you know, when you look at the numbers of mass shootings we have in this country, it really speaks to something that is deeply fundamentally wrong with gun ownership in this country, with the ways people are radicalized to violence in this country, etc. And I think that we all need to be more serious about reckoning with that. Also, pretty weird to bring up Charlie Kirk's assassination when we're going over a video about mass shootings, because that wasn't a mass shooting. We were talking about the Etsy witches cursing Kirk. Makes perfect sense to bring him up. Did I miss something? Yeah, the video where we were talking about mass shootings. Because Megyn Kelly was talking about how it's not the guns. And my point was that it's sometimes the goddamn guns. Right? Like, that's the issue. When we're talking about mass shootings and like crimes of passion conducted with like high capacity magazines, like it's relevant to talk about assault weapons. Yeah, banning assault weapons wouldn't stop shootings, but that's not what I was trying to talk about. We're talking about mass shootings. If you're gonna go shoot a lot of people, are you gonna bring a handgun or are you gonna bring like an assault rifle? You all come on now. And if you have any like, well, I'd go with the hand. No, you wouldn't. The fact that we get derailed on this shit constantly is sickening to me.
We talk about Kirk when there were 2 church shootings within the last week.
Yes.
Literal mass shootings.
It's so frustrating.
Growing up in the Deep South, we have an obsession with fighting the institution with guns, but it's just due to being unhappy with their life.
You have an obsession. I mean, it's true, right? Like, there
Conservatives
is a
say
sense of
they're saving
agency
young
that
men,
they
but
give.
to be honest, they're not giving them causes or values. They're giving them a list of targets.
I mean, yes, you are correct.
Now, again, you may be saying to yourself, why are we talking about Etsy curses? None of this is real. Well,
Exactly. Yes, we are now 8 minutes into this 14-minute video, and yes, none of this is real. So, is it just hate porn?
things. First of all, Christians are opposed to casting spells or trying to contact the spirit world. Not only because they believe there's only one God, but because they acknowledge.
Well, that's not entirely true, because Christians also believe in like an innate and fundamental connection to the spirit world via prayer. So like that's not really true. They just there are specific ways of interacting with the spirit world that are unacceptable.
the existence of the devil and evil spirits. Here is Father Mike Schmidt. He was on the day Charlie died, helping us through that as well. But he came on our show first time a couple of years ago, and here he is discussing this very subject.
The motivation behind the Ouija board is actually something where I'm trying to contact spirits.
Oh yeah, Hasbro, well-known spiritual purveyor of supernatural traits. Well known. Hasbro, the patent holder on Ouija boards. But Hasbro backwards is Orbza, perhaps a demon.
And someone could say, well, I'm trying to contact nice spirits or good spirits. And the unfortunate thing we know about is that, yes, when God created angels, he created angels. They're good. They're beautiful. They're in harmony with him. But also we know that a number of those said no to God. A person who's reasonable would say, but I'm just playing.
Are they going after D&D next? I mean, I don't think the evangelicals know enough about D&D to go after D&D next.
And I would say,
that was a joke.
I completely understand that. And then I would say, at the same time, you remember the movie The Exorcist?
No, I was responding to another crochet whimsy. I'm gonna fucking lose it, but I'm gonna try one more time. Before I fucking lose it, because someone brought up assault rifles and mass shootings when I was Someone brought up Charlie Kirk's assassination and pointed out that it was not done with an assault rifle or a high-capacity magazine while I was talking about mass shootings and assault rifles. So, for example, if you bring up a guy that was shot with one bullet versus an attack where someone sprays hundreds of bullets, that's a big difference. One is a targeted killing of one individual, while the other is a mass shooting where there's like 12 children dead. So like I'm trying to when I'm talking about mass shootings, I'm not talking about a guy with a fucking hunting rifle or a sniper rifle or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mass shootings.
Of course.
Yeah, how can you forget it? So that story is based off of two true stories. And one of the true stories is, I believe, about
true story. In college, I knew a girl from Romania who believed that in high school, one of her
Now I know why
friends...
teachers look exhausted trying to teach people about a subject.
It's true, the new nobodies. Thank you for the $5 super chat. But this girl believed that one of her classmates back in Romania had been possessed by a devil through a Ouija board, and that is why she killed herself. Not, like any kind of mental health issues or, anything one could have intervened on, but no, it was demonic possession through Ouija board. So that's the thought terminating cliche of it was magic is rarely helpful.
And get the details right, is about a young man who was at, kind of like a birthday party, some kind of celebration of some sort with kids. And they just busted out the Ouija board and just played for fun. But that was an entry point for what ultimately became a possession.
In other words, you're playing with fire, messing with.
Yeah. So Megyn Kelly has done this segment not to fearmonger against the Jezebel witches, but to save them. Because this video you see is a message to witches. You're messing with fire, and you might be next. You might be the one possessed by the demon. You're playing with fire every time you hex and contact the spirits.
With this stuff. There actually are demons in this world. Calling up the spirit world, in particular the devil's spirit world, can actually have real world consequences.
So, just out of curiosity, in this cosmology, the devil has his entire own spirit world? Is it nice? Like what's it like? they got good food?
It's not something to mess with. Many Christians believe this. This is dangerous. It's not a game. It's literally evil. Second,
well, okay, so genuine question here. My understanding is that Satan doesn't actually go to hell until after the end times. So right now, Satan has his own spirit world that isn't hell. The devil has a throne world from Destiny. I'm going to say yes, because I don't know anything about the lore of Destiny anymore.
This is what I really want you all and the people at Jezebel and Etsy to know. Erica and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses, and that news genuinely rattled Erica in particular.
Okay, just real quick. Why? No, like, why? Okay, this has always been one of my biggest questions when it comes, even when I was a Christian. Like, even when I was deep in the fundamentalism, my question is, why should I ever be afraid of any kind of ghost or demon? Even if I grant that they are completely and utterly real, why should that concern me? Considering in the religious ideation of Christianity, God has manifested and died specifically to give you some kind of innate power and protection via the vehicle of the Holy Spirit. So, like, why... I never understood why other Christians were afraid of the supernatural, or like witches or magic or demons or what have you, considering the Bible literally tells, like the apostles, that they have essentially the powers of Christ via the Holy Spirit. And so it's just, like, if you genuinely believe in Jesus Christ, like, this shit should not worry you in the slightest. But I've just never understood it, I guess.
She knew Christian teaching on the subject. She loved Charlie, absolutely. And she was scared when she heard of the curses Jezebel had called up. So much so that she and Charlie contacted a friend who I believe she said was a Catholic priest, but definitely a friend, and asked him to come over and pray with them over Charlie the night before he was murdered.
Why would you do that, though? See, this is what I don't get, right? Like, okay, granting that this story is even true, you, a Protestant family, call up a Catholic priest? Why not just your own pastor? What, is there something special about Catholic priests? Are they Christian witches? Do you need, like, a Christian witch to counteract a non-Christian witch? None of this makes sense to me as somebody who understands, like, religious, like the religious beliefs of Christians.
She eventually worked it through, and so did Charlie. That, as she later told me, weapons will form but not prosper. That Satan and those witches have no power. Of course, God's will is the one that matters, and his blessing over Charlie was real and palpable. All you had to do was spend time with Charlie to know that. But
yeah, like, I don't know. It seems like it sends a pretty weak message when a couple of Etsy witches are stronger than the trifold God. Seems weird.
Why torture a family like
the
this?
Ballroom priest, clearly.
Clearly, Lily loves stuff. Thank you for the $5 dono. And Socket Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs.
Catholic priests are special because they accomplish the secondary goal of conservatism, molesting children.
I did not read that comment before seeing it and before hearing it. That is all right.
A Christian, believing family. Why do this vile thing to a young couple? Parents to 2 babies, living in accordance with the gospel, deeply in love. Yes, political, but doing nothing other than speaking publicly about their views and their desires to make other people's lives better. Who would do such a vile thing? Jezebel, that's who. And unbelievably, Etsy. And
Jezebel, notedly beloved by Christians.
the people behind this evil, they should be called out. That's why I'm talking about it as our lead. They should be called out. Jezebel should be forced to identify the woman who wrote this and did this.
Why?
Jezebel should close, frankly. It has zero redeeming virtues or value.
Neither does the Megyn Kelly show, and yet you persist. Like, why should Jezebel close? Like, witches aren't real. Magic isn't real. What are you talking about?
Etsy should stop this practice immediately and get back to arts and crafts and jewelry.
Yeah, Etsy, you stop it. You stop it, Etsy. You've gone too far.
Entities should issue an immediate, full-throated apology to Erica Kirk for introducing this awfulness into her beautiful family and causing.
Why? I'm sorry. Is your God omnipotent or not? Like, just pick a fucking lane. Pick a goddamn lane. Is he omnipotent or not? Like, I'm sorry. Is he gonna be checkmated by a couple Etsy witches? Are you fucking kidding me?
Her or Charlie any distress whatsoever in what would be the waning hours of his life. It's not easy to contact them. Etsy's easier than Jezebel. Etsy, you can email them.
Yeah, God in Christianity is the ultimate Mary Sue. Just directly correlated. Anything God can do conveniently comes through in the plot.
Press@etsy.com. Press@etsy.com. Jezebel intentionally makes it difficult for you to reach out to them, though we did for comment on this piece and ask them whether they will indeed republish this article and other questions as well. They didn't get back to us, but here's how you do it if you are so inclined. You go to their website, you click on contact, and then you submit your comment.
I tried to go to pressetsy.com and it wouldn't let me. It wouldn't let me go. Oh shit, chat. The witches. They've hexed her website. They're taking out Megyn Kelly's websites now. Oh my god. They Final Destination, the host server. Just popped in. What's Megan's issue today? Witches. Witches and hexes. Etsy needs to ban any religion I dislike. Indeed. That this is nonsense bullshit. Now, folks, I think we're just done with the segment. I've got nothing else to add. Witchcraft, I don't believe it. And trying to say that somehow Etsy witches are accomplices to a murder seems absolutely insane in 2025. But all right.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat.